Standing at his command lectern, Captain Jarun Atticus raised his bionic rasp of a voice over the din of alarms and the rumble of secondary blasts.
Damage report, Sergeant Galba.
Void shield collapse over port stern, Captain. Fire in that landing bay and in the surf barracks.
Seal the sector. Divert its power to the shields.
Galba looked up from his post just beneath the lectern. Captain, the survivors. Atticus silenced the sergeant with a sharp gesture.
They're dead either way. Anyone in that sector is a casualty. Let's not add to their numbers. Do it, damn you.
Damn the arithmetic of war. Damn Horus. Damn the turncoat cowards who were filling the near orbit of Istvan V with the wreckage of ships, the flames of treachery, and the ruin of the Emperor's dream.
And damn me too,
Atticus muttered. Galba paused over his controls. Captain?
Nothing.
But it wasn't nothing, was it? What was it he had said to his men, laughing with that bionic larynx of his? Laughing as the Veritas had begun its journey through the warp to the Istvan system. He had said that it was not true that the legions knew no fear, because he had a great one, and his fear was that they would arrive to find their Primarch, Ferrus Manus, had already crushed the War Master's rebellion without them. After Kalinades, after Fulgrim's craven ambush, and after the warp storms had calmed, Lord Manus had raced hard for Istvan, taking the fastest, least damaged ships, and filling them with his most experienced Averni veterans. Atticus had given over half his complement of warriors to the Primarch's folly, but now, the Veritas Ferrum had finally dropped out of the warp at the system's Mandeville point, and into a vision of hell. Atticus descended from the lectern and strode to the Oculus. Littering the far orbit of the Istvan star was a graveyard of loyalist ships. Some had been caught as they attempted to escape, but many more were simply torn apart by enemy fire as soon as they emerged from the Immaterium. The Iron Hand's second wave had been virtually obliterated.
Hard to starboard,
he ordered, sweeping his eye over his crew.
Will none of you ask if I am relieved that my fear has not come to pass?
The battle was not over, but the terrible truth was that it seemed as though it soon would be. He jabbed a finger at the nearest enemy ship that hove into view as the Veritas began its turn.
I want everything hitting that Alpha Legion bastard.
If he still had lips, they would have parted in a murderous smile.
So the individual is unimportant. Is it, Alpharius?
He spat.
Then what we're about to do won't hurt you at all.
With the slow majesty of a glacier, the Veritas rounded on its prey. The Alpha Legion ship, the Theta, tried to evade by rising above the ecliptic, but it was too slow and too late. Concentrated lance and torpedo fire from the Veritas overwhelmed its void shields. They went down in a flickering cascade, and the Theta's running lights died just before the Iron Hand's main barrage struck it amidships. The blow was devastating. The Theta broke in half. Galba called out from his station.
The Night Lord's vessel is firing again.
Noted, Sergeant. Countermeasures.
Atticus looked at the bisected cruiser before them.
Helmsman,
he ordered.
Take us through.
Jarun Atticus served as a captain of the Iron Hands Legion during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy. Commander of the 111th Clan Company and strike cruiser Veritas Ferrum, this largely bionic Astartes followed the arithmetic of war with little regard for the meager remnants of emotion which rebelled at his actions. Badly burned by an energy weapon salvo, which breached the bridge of his warship prior to the dawn of the 31st millennium, Jarun retained only a single eye of his ruined face to remind him of the weakness of flesh. Deployed as part of the second wave to the Istvan system to aid his Primarch Ferrus Manus' purge of the rebellious War Master, Horus Lupercal, Atticus bristled at the notion that his delayed arrival to the system had likely robbed him of glory, putting down the rabble of traitors. Finding a graveyard of loyalist ships littering the system's Mandeville point, Jarun ordered a masterful attack of the Alpha Legion cruiser, Theta, utterly destroying the Voidcraft before turning his attention to oncoming Night Lord aggressors. Heavily outnumbered, against his better judgment, Atticus rescued survivors of the Dropside Massacre, led by Salamander Sergeant Kidem of the 139th Company, losing more of his own men than those retrieved from the fray. Callousing the final remnant of humanity left in his heart, Atticus and his band of beleaguered Orphans of War enacted a perilous warp jump as the Veritas Ferrum's exposed hull endangered the integrity of the vessel. Arriving within the Pandorax system in orbit above the planet of Pythos, Atticus contacted what remained of his legion within Lifocast reach as they resolved to fight as independent fragments of the Broken Legion, with the spawning of the Ruin Storm, which now bisected the galaxy. Alike to a cancer, eroding the enemy from within, rather than the hammer blow they had been. Before the Iron Hands could ready for warp translation, an anomaly on the surface of Pythos destroyed the Veritas Ferum's Auspex. Descending onto the jungle canopies below, the coalition of Iron Hands, Raven Guard, and Salamanders were set upon by strange phenomena as blood ran uphill and large creatures known as Saurians set upon their number. All creatures of the planet showing predatory traits, despite many bearing appearances that befit herbivores. Waves of moss clustered together, as even the plant life of Pythos sought to devour the Astartes. Finding upon a black column as the source of the strange warp phenomena, as the Astartes fended off 8-foot-tall Saurians, withdrawal was the only choice to prevent further casualties. Establishing a base of operations upon the landing site of Pythos, Captain Atticus would not allow the flesh of monsters to best his steel, despite Japtasurf screaming as they hallucinated creatures from beyond the Pale. Informed of an Emperor's Children fleet which had pursued the Veritas Ferum from Isstvan V, Atticus and his men briefly ventured to the neighboring Hamartia system to confront their nemesis. Ambushing the lead voidcraft, Kalidora, the Iron Hands infiltrated the vessel using boarding torpedoes before pushing through to the bridge, Atticus felling the ship's captain and ordering Techmarine Camnus to crash the ship onto the nearby planetoid of Creon. Returning to Pythos, the Iron Hands found civilian ships descending upon the planet, the pilgrims originating from the sundered world of Darwin, destroying their voidcraft upon reaching the surface as they proclaimed Pythos to be their prophesied new home. As Saurians began to harry the populace, the Astartes begrudgingly intervened due to the civilians' lackluster methods of defending themselves, the compassion of the Salamanders proving to be an exploitable weakness. Firebombing the jungle surrounding the Black Column, as the Pilgrims of Darwin created a lodge within proximity of the peculiar structure. The Iron Hands received further worrying reports of the civilians muttering in their sleep. Warp storms surrounding the planet, preventing the Astartes' escape. The Iron Hands ordered the Pilgrims to aid their excavation surrounding the column before delving into the depths below, finding a temple which could not have been made by conventional means. Set upon by a tide of maggot-like creatures which drove the Astartes back to the surface, Atticus assured he was the last to climb from the depths, before ordering his men above to purge what followed him with flamers. The Pilgrims of Darwin revealing themselves to be worshippers of the ruinous powers, as the Iron Hands gunned down the priest, Sirek. The immense sacrifice of blood summoned the dormant being which had lurked beneath Pythos. Madeo the Undivided destroyed the Iron Hands with nary a wound incurred. No bolter nor gunship ordnance capable of harming the greater demon, as it delighted in the slaughter perpetrated by its own hand and the Saurians which now tore apart the cultists, willingly walking into their midst. Seeking atonement for his failure, Atticus would not let the 111th Clan Company die quietly, leading the last band of Astartes as they carved through lesser demons in order to confront Madael. Clashing with the greater demon, Atticus perished by Madael's hands. His refusal to give in to the weakness of flesh, even in the face of pure evil, a testament to his legion's creed.